Right. So, today we have a few updates. Mr. Zetlin, you said you want to go last. So I think we have some updates for CI/CD, which I'm assuming we'll wait for last. We have the URL resolver updates. Mr. Calcaban has some docs updates. And then Andy, I think you've got some recent merges that you'd like to go over. And I think after Mr. Zetlin, we'll talk about the help wanted tickets because I think that'll be a really quick conversation. So who wants to go first? Do we have any volunteers to go first? Go first. Andy, big Andy. Bad Andy.
Why?
Need this. The pizza commercial back in the day?
Oh, no, I don't.
You guys remember this?
A Bad Andy
It's
pizza?
like a Pizza Hut pizza commercial
How
back in the day.
back in the day are we talking about?
This is like the 90s.
Yeah, I didn't live here then. So.
Come on.
Good excuse. Pizza Hut, you said?
Yeah, it's like Bad Andy.
Didn't know that.
All right, so we were blocked a little bit by Peregrine stuff this week, so this is just a venue change to the sign-in page, the forgot password page, and then a little bit of create account page. So we had two kind of input components, basically, for lack of a better term, an old one and a new one, and people were getting confused about which one they should be using. So this PR actually removes the old input component so that there's no confusion on which one we should be using. The one we should be using is this text input component. So it updates everywhere where we were using the old input component. It also removes this like error display component, and I'll demo this stuff in just a minute so you can see what it is. But it updates the sign-in page, the create account page, and the forgot password page just to match their mocks a little bit closer. I backed off a little bit on the create account page because there's a community PR at number 835 that does a lot of that work already, so I didn't put it in this PR. And then there's a slight refactor to the Redux user slice. So this is what is out there currently. This is before the change. If you come into the sign in, and I'm going to purposefully mess this up. So the sign in, oh wait, well, it's showing my new stuff. We deployed it. It wasn't like this 10 minutes ago. Okay, that's the new stuff. Before you would get this big ugly like error message looking thing that would give you a whole server stack trace, which we didn't want to do anymore. So it just gives you this kind of nice friendly message here that your stuff was incorrect. I guess I'll just...
May I interject?
Yes.
So I think we need to discuss the way that we do form field validation this time is completely different than that. So I think we need to discuss if this needs to be attached to a field in the form or if it needs to be a toast. Because this is different than both of those.
So
I'd like to default to one or the other.
I dig it. No problem.
If that's fine, we can talk about it offline, but I'll go with that.
Sounds good. Thanks for bringing that up. There is individual form field validation here. Like if I blur out of these fields, then it tells me I have to put something in there. This was a bug. So if you put something in here and you click forgot password, it seeds this field in here. That wasn't working previously, so it fixes that problem. It also actually does that on the create account form. It'll see this email field here. You can see some of these fields are now marked as required, which is cool. And there's a subscribe checkbox that wasn't there before, but was in the mock. So
that looks great. Quick question
Sure.
for you on that error message in the first screen.
Yeah.
Are we not able to detect when it was user error versus account is disabled?
Correct. We're not able to detect. The server just sends back that message.
Okay.
We don't know which was which.
Perfect.
And then I guess for completeness sake, we can show it actually working. There's that full screen kind of, I'll go back and do that again. So there's before when you would sign in, there was kind of this weird delay as it was making the call. And you would just sit and look at a page that wasn't doing anything for a while. So I just put a little spinner in there while you were signing in.
That's nice.
You can also notice down at the bottom, after I sign in, down at the bottom here, there's like I forgot what it's called, user information component, I think. where it'll show like your name and all that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
if you notice when you sign in, it kind of has a little bit loading first, and then it'll pop in, and that's due to the refactor here of the store. So we signed the person in, and then we got all of their details, and then we came back, which was a little inconsistent with how we were doing like card actions, for instance. So right now it'll sign you in, and then that spinner will go away, and then as the details come back, that thing will populate.
So I think this is just a thought, and we can discuss this more. I think
Sure.
what in my mind would make more sense as a cohesive flow is if the spinner went and then the information loaded and then collapsed into, so they actually showed up.
That's cool.
Because then they know that that identity exists there. So we don't actually have to show the My Account screen until that loading is done, rather than showing loading and then loading. We can just load it and then collapse it to
That's
the
cool.
bottom.
I take that.
Maybe
Okay.
that's something we could try.
Very cool. But that's
Nice
it.
work though.
This, thank you. Because we removed 2 components, this actually necessitates a major version change, because these were part of our public API, the components are. So just a heads up on that, when this actually gets released, that'll be a major version bump. But that is it for my presentations.
So
All right.
for feedback, just to keep it,
Yeah.
keep track of it, do you want me to go add comments to this, or do you want me to open a separate issue?
Yeah, probably a separate one, because this one's been merged already.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any questions for Andy? Comments?
Oh, sorry, I should have waited.
No worries. And I'm working on 835, reviewing 835 right now, so hopefully that'll be a fast follow to this. All right, cool.
All right. Who's next? We have,
I can do URL resolver.
Nice.
All right.
Folks, I'm back. Sorry if you were waiting for me. I dropped off for internet reasons.
We didn't even notice.
Of course you did.
Okay, so this one's a lot less glamorous than account sign-ins. Let me bump this up a little bit. So there was a minor bug that popped up related to .env configuration. I believe if you left out a trailing slash in your Magento backend URL, everything just errored out, nothing worked. So to remedy this, instead of doing like env validation on that value, we thought it'd be valuable to add a URL resolver to Upward. So Upward can handle building URLs for you inside in a more kind of composable way. So the first step of adding anything to Upward is to update the spec. So this is the spec for the URL resolver. You'll see that it follows this what WG spec compliant URLs dealio. That seems to be what the Node.js URL object follows as well. So that was kind of just easy on the Upward.js side to just follow that spec. But you'll see it's very straightforward. It accepts a bunch of parameters that will build a URL, like base URL, hash. It also accepts relative URLs if you pass false to the base URL. So you don't, it can handle both absolute and relative URLs. And then the implementation side of this, there were very few places in the Upward configuration in Vinia that were using URLs, but the 2 places that were, we went ahead and updated, and you'll see instead of using like mustache templates to build a GraphQL endpoint by appending /GraphQL to whatever your backend URL was, you can now compose it with the base URL and provide the path name of GraphQL, and it'll generate that for you. And then the other one was the Fastly image URLs. So when that image resize pattern is detected, we now just rewrite those URLs to your Magento backend with some Fastly parameters appended. So we have barely scratched the surface of what like this URL resolver is capable of, but now it exists, and if any of those use cases do pop up in the future, we are fully prepared to accept them. So that is it. Any questions?
All right,
Great.
no questions. It was perfect. All right, who is next?
I'm going next.
Dev is going next.
Okay, so this is about migrating up from Circle CI, and we are moving towards AWS. So we merged this PRs recently, and all the CI/CD files now, like if you see into this PR, like we have removed all these files and we moved them to a private repo. And in this repo, like we have both our PWA and MFTF CI/CD files. And I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but if you go to any of the PRs,
Dev, it's merged if you refresh.
yep, merged. I'm just showing the PR checks.
Yeah. And we turned off the Circle CI requirements in all of our branch protection rules.
Yes, so now you will be seeing this new base with AWS, and you still have now deployment to view the storefront. And same with MFTF, like we have moved MFTF also to this private repo, and those files take this same repository. I think you or James would like to add on this.
Do you have anything to add there, James?
I'm sorry, I can't. Do I have anything to add? Well, gosh, I mean, Dev, you
Not
can go into
anything
the
to
best.
add, anything relating to CI/CD updates.
No. I understand that. Dev, you explained kind of the best practices reason for that. I think that the caveat should be that because of this change, you're no longer going to be able to see the detailed test result output from pull requests. So as a community member, we hate depriving you or removing your access to something, but it's for security purposes. So feel free to talk to us about how we might maintain some kind of help system for you guys to set up your own continuous integration environments for your own PRs if that's what you want to do. But it's just something to be aware of. On the other hand, security is probably in the top 10 concerns for everyone on the call, so I think you'll probably agree that it's the right trade-off to make. That's all I have to add.
And worth noting, like danger still alerts you to any errors, so it's not like you just get like a black box, something went wrong, we can't accept your PR. Like you still get information about ESLint failures, things like that. But if you wanted more detailed reports, you kind of have to rerun those tests locally, which is fairly simple to do.
Great. Any questions on the phone? Comments? All right, moving on. I think we have an update from Mr. Kalkaban. He's on the line. He is on the line.
Let me, can I share my screen? Over has.
You have to stop sharing.
Oh,
Actually, if he started sharing, you kick Dave off.
semantics.
Because
Can you
that's
see
happening.
my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so for my update, is this PR for adding an explainer to the Venya upward specification file. It's still under review, but we're hoping to get it merged pretty soon. What it is basically it adds a bunch of comments to the specification files to try to explain what each piece does. So yeah, if you have, it kind of helps to demystify what this file is and what it's telling the upward server to do. Yeah, so we'll get that merged soon, and you guys can check it out. Zetlin, did you have anything to add?
First, I wanted to say sorry that I didn't get to its review yet, but I have looked at it. I just haven't written up review stuff since it's pretty lengthy, but I am really appreciative, and it's been a long time coming. I think one thing that we should add to this, which this wasn't part of your story, but I think we need to reorder the declarations, because I think that's part of what confuses people. Upward is lazily evaluated, so that's something we need to change. But we're still going to merge this anyway and do this as an additional request.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So thanks again. Everyone read this. It should help you understand a little bit more about what the upward file does and doesn't do.
That's it for me.
Great. Any questions? Yeah. So before I turn it over to Mr. Zetlin, I guess I will quickly talk about help wanted tickets. So let's take a look at the board. So as we talked about a few months ago, the team has more recently transitioned into a Kanban workflow. Because of that, we spent a lot of time over the last few months really cleaning up our board, looking at our processes, and I think due to that, we have not been as clear, I think, with community members on where we would like contribution or where they could prioritize their effort if you're looking to contribute. So over the last few weeks, we've been trying to move back to that and being more clear around the tickets that we actually need help on. And if you're a community member that's been involved in the project for the last year, you know that we're actively using help wanted tags to try to label those tickets. And so we're trying to reincorporate that back into our process now. So if you look at our board, or if you look at the issues list in the PWA Studio project, right, you'll see now that there are help wanted tickets where we're actively soliciting for community contribution. Of course, you can contribute things outside of those parameters, right? But if you're looking to help out the team and you're looking for a ticket where we need that help, right? Feel free to come take a look at the board or look at the issues list and look for that help wanted tag. Right now, there are 2 issues that the team has prioritized that are ready to start. That's 816 and 567 that are labeled as help wanted. I guess 1071 is sitting down there as well, but I think 1071 you already started with.
It hasn't labeled, so I'm not going to start working on it.
There you go. Help wanted.
Good first issue, Tim.
Good first issue. So yep, that's a really quick update. We are definitely trying to be more diligent about applying that label. That way, if you're a community member out there looking to get involved, you know where you can start. That is it for me. Over to you, Mrs. Zetlin.
Hello, everybody. I don't have a lot of time because this has been kind of a project I took on out of the need to do it, but not necessarily out of the time. And I think you'll like it. And very soon it's going to be integrated into some of the other stuff in our upcoming release, if, you know, enough people like it. Here we go. You guys see this screen?
Yes.
Okay, can you see me typing?
Yep. Oh, snap.
npm install is now running. This command also works with yarn. And as you might be able to see, it's actually just a nice interactive interface on top of a command line interface that we've created for BuildPack. So all that this does is assemble that command, which you could then run for your own automation purposes, making this as extensible of a feature as we could. This is part of a general refactor of BuildPack to become a more obvious system and clear tool with the command line interface and a set of scripts to run. Because right now it's like a collection of Webpack plugins. So once this is done, and it does have to build some native dependencies in order to do maximum compression and stuff that work on your system. This can also use yarn, but I used npm just to demonstrate that we can. Now, you have a brand new project, all your own. Named what you want to name it, with the author that you want, and it's got a source directory and an index file, and that index file imports all its functionality from Venia. It defines its own drivers, but currently it's just a stub that imports them from Venia. It defines its own store so that you have a file to put your stuff in, but all that stuff is from Venia. At least at the beginning. Same with the index CSS file. Here's where you could begin customizing your project that's based on Venia. Here's the Webpack configuration. It's gotten a lot simpler. It's based in the BuildPack configuration. And of course, you can modify it if you need to. Here's how this project works right out of the box. Initial building. My computer's a little slow right now. It's been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, the screen share also slows this kind of stuff down.
Look, it's Venia. But it's not, of course. It's your own project.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's very
Thank you.
cool. That's a huge step toward exactly what we need.
See, it's my own project. All right, folks. Just a little peek at what's to come.
Cool. Great.
Thanks.
Super cool.
Any questions for?
Let it here be stated, James Zetland had a successful 5-minute demo. No roadblocks.
That's because I said very little.
Do not tell.
All right. Any questions? I think that was it on the larger agenda. Unless anyone on the phone or on the line has something. Jimmy, I don't know if you have anything on your end.
Nope, mostly reviewing and merging, so nothing special to show. But next week we'll have some more Peregrine components to show off, which will be cool.
All right then.
I have a question for Jordan. Is that background real or a poster? Because super jealous.
Wait, the background.
Oh, it's
that is
definitely a
plan?
green screen.
It's got to be
Oh, that's for Jordan.
some light reflection on there.
Real time.
I thought he was outside, and
I
I was
thought
like,
so,
where
too. I
are
was
you,
like, that's
Jordan?
awesome.
I want to go to there.
Whoa,
Whoa,
that's awesome.
it's really cool.
Jordan's just in a rainforest cafe at the mall.
Yeah.
Do they have those anymore? I don't know.
Oh yeah, they have them.
All right. So I think that concludes our update for this week. I don't know if next week we will have this sync. There's a lot of people that are flying around for conferences. We'll see. I don't know. We'll probably have it.
We can have it.
Yeah.
People will still be here.
Okay.
Sure they will.
Well, thanks everyone then, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Cool. See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
We need some time.